Hey beautiful people, my name's Taylor, also known as Priceless Tay.
And I'm your co-host, Tedia ROSARION.
We want to welcome you back to What the
Finance! What the finance? It's payday! What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of WTF. This podcast is here to talk about all sorts of multiple subjects that relates to one thing, kind of being good with money. So, I'm your co-host, Tedia ROSARION, and I'm coming at you from Canada. I consider myself being a financial activist. This is, I don't know if it's a word that exists, but that's how I see myself, just wanting to share massively to the mass about financial topics. So, today we're going to talk about paydays, right? So, I don't know where you are with paydays, but there's different stages, right? So you have yourself, maybe you're working for the first time, maybe you are Gen Z and you're young and you got bored for COVID-19 and decided to take your job, or recently got a job, maybe you're 16, 14. I don't know what's our demographic yet, so let's just include everyone. So, and then you receive your first payday. So what's my advice for you actually to deal with receiving your first payday or your very first sets of paydays? And then there's someone who receives paydays and just like me has obligation and things to deal with. So how do you take this day that we all know that this day makes everybody smile, but how do you take this day and making sure that actually it's a good day, not because you received payday, but it's also a good day because payday is going to last, payday is going to be organized, and payday is going to be useful. So let's start with the first situation of you receiving some sort of payday for the first time. So let's go back to my story. When I first received my first, obviously, payday, I remember because kind of the dynamic I had at home was that if I wanted something, I had to figure out a way to buy it. So I was not born spoiled. So yeah, so eventually it's 100% sure that there was things that I wanted. That's why I started to work, right? It's because there's things I needed, new pairs of shoes, new pairs of clothes, because you know, when your mom buys you clothes at 15, it's not the clothes you want to be dressed in. Well, that's personally how I saw it. So I had to figure out and build my own identity. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you receive your first sets of payday, you worked for some reason. And if you worked to actually afford something that your parents didn't allow you to have, definitely go buy it. And honestly, to be quite honest with you, even though I'm a financial activist and I'm trying to share with you guys the best ways, obviously it's easy to say don't spend one dime of your first payday and move on, not spending one dime for your first payday. No. To me, when you first receive your very first payday, I think that you deserve it. I think that whatever you wanted or needed, go buy it, go spend it. Yes, I said it. Go spend your first payday. That's what I did, and I don't regret a thing. And from moving on, obviously I didn't spend all my paydays. Moving on after a few sets of paydays where I got to build my own identity, my own person, got to buy things I needed to wash my face that my mom didn't want me to buy. Or I want to say this, but honestly, I was ashamed for my mom buying me my girls things, so my makeup, and she didn't want to, so I had to build all of that to things that I really wanted to help me become who I am, who I want to show to the world of, you know, exactly who I am. So yeah, so I understand that some people have help from their parents, and if that's your case, definitely maybe you don't have to spend your first payday. Maybe you can use it for something purposeful, useful, a bigger goal, a bigger dream, like a new car or whatever. But then again, that's if you're in the middle of your parents helping you with some things but not with everything. Obviously I'm judging that if you receive a payday and your parents are willing to pay everything for you and a car, well then, I don't know what to tell you. You're a good kid to go to work, honestly, because I probably wouldn't. So I like that you actually go to work and go earn that money, because it will teach you the value of money for sure. And I am hopeful that actually when you first receive your payday, obviously you had to work to receive that payday. So you have to definitely have a relationship, kind of a new relationship with money, because now you saw that you need to be a cashier or flip burgers or sell things. You need to work to wake up and go somewhere. Well, maybe not because of COVID-19 anymore, but yeah, you had to see that working is work. It doesn't come easy. Money doesn't come easy. So yeah, so let's break that down again. So first payday, you have 3 subcategories. If you're like me and you were not giving anything, at 16 I was giving things, like I had Wi-Fi, and I had my school paid off, because my parents chose to get me in private school, so I didn't choose that, so they paid that. But then everything else, my makeup, my clothes, my shoes, everything that I wanted, I had to go to work for. So if you're in that situation, your first payday, spend it for the things you need. You don't have a choice. You decided to work for that reason. Next, if you're in a situation or that you don't actually have to pay for anything because your parents really help you, I think it's awesome that you actually go to work despite the help of your parents. So for that, I congratulate you. And what I would advise receiving your first payday is try to avoid spending it if you get help for other things. Then if you don't spend your payday, and obviously if you're in the first situation where you needed payday to survive, to build your identity as a teenager, just understand that from there, it's not every payday or all of every payday that you should dedicate on spending. So we'll get through that eventually in this podcast. But at some point, there needs to be a point where you are able to manage paydays and give some money for expenses and give some money for other things. So moving forward, just understand that paydays is a way to achieve also bigger goals. So when I was a teenager, one of my biggest issues was that I hated my smile, my teeth. I had crooked teeth. And so my parents didn't want to pay for that. It was $5,000, $6,000. And so I wanted it so bad. Like, I couldn't handle my smile. I didn't want to look at myself in the mirror. I was ashamed when I was with boys. I thought all they saw was my crooked teeth. I didn't want to smile in pictures. I didn't want to laugh in front of people. It was just like a nonsense that was all going on in my head. But I should have known that I was beautiful anyway. But, I decided to work, and every penny that I decided to work for was to fix my teeth. It was just like it became such an obsession. It was such a burden on me that that's how I saw it. But then for you, maybe it won't be a crooked teeth. Maybe your bigger goal would be to move out of your parents' house, because maybe not everybody has a cool situation at home. Maybe you want a car, or maybe you just want to travel. Maybe you need a new laptop that your parents doesn't want to pay for you. So all of these things, when you're a teenager and you cannot take on debts yet, and I wouldn't advise to take on debts to go travel or to go spend, but anyway, you have to work for it. So if I can advise you on something, if you are a teenager, it's to dedicate a huge part of your paydays for a bigger purpose, because we all have our own issues as a teenager. I know that for a fact. I was a teenager once. So, and even as young adults, we all have a bigger purpose. We all have something we want to achieve. But then it's so sad, but society doesn't achieve it, obviously, because society doesn't pay themselves first. And paying yourself first means before spending it, before buying a new bag and a new pair of shoes, or before paying on your credit card. It's just to allocate some money for you and for your goals. So think about that. When you receive payday, think about really allocating paydays to a bigger purpose, and obviously to your little spending things that you need. We all need underwear and stuff like that, so it's totally understandable. We all have expenses.
Back again with a commercial break. Make sure to subscribe to Taylor Price's YouTube channel. Just search up Taylor Price. She posts once every single week talking about investing, personal finance, and business. You can find Taylor on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Priceless Tay. Let's get back to it.
Then, if you are not a teenager and you're listening to this and you want to know how to manage paydays, obviously, let's not hide the fact that a lot of people struggle with paydays. The end of the months are dry. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, which is one of the riskiest thing ever. When I worked at the bank, right, I remember I was just shook to see how a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck and how they call us to try to find a solution, try to this, try to that. Their account is blocked, but only have $40 and have a house and have kids. I can see they receive government help for kids. So I know you have a kid, and I know that you have a kid with $40 in your bank account. That stresses me for you because, whatever happens, you're not going to be able to provide for your kid. I don't understand. But then I'm not judging anybody for sure. That's why I'm here to help, because I don't want to be in that situation. And I saw how stressful it is to be in that situation. And I know maybe we don't have kids, maybe you do, but just understand that living paycheck to paycheck, it's really not a good idea, because life, it's what I believe, but I believe that life is full of bumps in the road. We will all have bumps in our roads, and sometimes these bumps require money, and sometimes these bumps are not seen from afar. We just arrive and get into a bump. Life just gives you a bump, creates a bump just for you, but life will never create a challenge that it knows you cannot go through. So just keep that in mind. That was just like me giving you positivity, the way I see life. That's the way, obviously, I think and believe. It's just that life will never give you anything that it knows you can't go through with the strong head on your shoulders. So, what was I saying before that? Yes, so when these bumps arrive, these challenges arrive, sometimes it requires money. And when people don't have the money, it's enough dealing with that challenge. But then dealing with the fact that you can't fix that challenge because of money, or because you're going to have to take on another responsibility for money, it just adds on a vicious cycle of just having a bad relationship with money. And it starts there, and it's hard to get out of. So how do you get out of living paycheck to paycheck, not having money for emergencies, and etc.? So obviously, let's not talk about the fact that counting on one paycheck is not enough. If you can create multiple sources of income, it's obviously ideal, but we'll keep that for another subject. But then once you receive your paycheck, it's what we call budgeting. Budgeting, it's simply the fact of organizing your paycheck before it comes. Now, I understand that you can never organize your paycheck perfectly so that when it comes, it will follow the plan. You'll always have little months, you'll always have problems in your months, or you will always have maybe less money or more money than expected. But having a plan, and it's not just about budgeting, but in everything you do, is important. So budgeting is simply a plan of your paycheck. So you sit down before paychecks enters your bank account and you tell yourself, like, okay, Right now, I'm having trouble keeping my paychecks. Why? You need to figure out where's the money going. Maybe you find out that there's places your money's going that it's not necessary, that you don't think because you do not see it in a way that when it's written down, maybe will open your eyes. Let's say I keep giving that same advice, but with coffee. Let's say you go buy Starbucks coffee every day for $5. Maybe you don't see it because it's just $5 today, $5 the other day. But then when you budget and realize that, okay, maybe I've spent $300 in coffee lately and it doesn't make sense to me. I could have taken that $300 for something else. So it's really about saying, okay, I like coffee. I want to treat myself 2 coffees, 1 coffee Starbucks a month, or 2 or 3. So that would be $15, and not more, not less. And then the rest of my coffees, I'll go at the grocery store and I'll buy a can of coffee, and I can even buy icing if I want. I can even buy anything that I want to make my coffee pleasable. But if I buy it at a grocery store, it's guaranteed that will be less expensive than to go buy a Starbucks coffee every single day. So it's about now making a grocery list. Okay, then I go to groceries. Now I need to spend this much to survive on food and not going to buy at restaurants. And you'll notice quickly that technically you're supposed to see a reduction in your cost in food. So where people spend a lot is in food and in unnecessary things, right? Because people are in the endless pursuit of looking good in front of the other humans, but who the fuck cares? I know that I don't care how do I look right now, because I know that I want things so bad that it's better for me than to buy a new dress to look good when I go out. Then I know I just want to keep that money and not buy the dress for other purposes that will make me be happy. I don't know, it's just the way I think. And I think that if you would learn to think like that, not care about humans, but that again is another subject that we need to discuss. It's easier to say than done, obviously. So yeah, and then once you figure out all your expenses, you need to plan out how much money you think you're going to receive this month. So I forgot to mention, but a budget has a 1 month or maybe even more, or maybe a week, but it has a period set. So let's say we look into a 1 month budget. You decide, okay, this month I'm going to receive 2 paychecks for this amount of money. I'm going to subtract all my expenses that I think I'm going to have to make this month. And you're going to try to be fair, and you're going to try to make sacrifices, and you're going to try to cut down on some costs, unnecessary costs. And you're going to try to work on yourself, work on your mindset, work on not caring about the others, and work on, stopping overconsumption. And then finally, you're going to get to hopefully a positive amount. If you get to a negative amount, there's a problem that we're going to need to work on. Either we're going to need to increase the income coming in or reduce the expenses. But hopefully you have a positive amount. From that positive amount, this is the money that you can really do something meaningful with it. So I advise to take that money and find a goal, find a purpose. If you want to invest it, go for it. If you want to travel, go for it. Because traveling, why would you take a debt to go travel? Like it's done. When it's done, let it be done. So when I travel, I definitely pay cash my travel. I don't know. I'm just so confused on how you would take a debt to pay 2 years for one travel that happened 2 years earlier. And then when you want to travel again, what happens? Ugh, no. So yeah, but I'm hopeful that we can take another episode about budgeting in deep, about, the social structure of our consumption, all of these things I'm taking notes to talk about for other subjects. This episode was so much fun for me to do and talk. I like to talk to you guys. I hope you guys liked it. If you're finding me on my social media from this podcast, please let me know. I want to know if you listened to it, how you liked it. If you have any advice, anything you want to share with me, please do. It'd be my pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really hope on next payday you'll be conscious on what to do, which is allocating a nice balance into yourself and your spending. And yes, this is the end. I appreciate you guys again, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to WTF, What the
Finance
with the one and only
Tedia ROSARION.
And last but not least, Taylor Price. Make sure to receive all of the updates on WTF by texting WTF to 424-226-5797. Message and rates may apply.